First, I must confess that over the past few years, I have been gravely disappointed with the white moderate. I have almost reached the regrettable conclusion that the Negro's great stumbling block in his stride toward freedom is not the white citizens' counselor or the Ku Klux Klaner, but the white moderate who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, to a positive peace, which is the presence of justice, who constantly says, I agree with you in the goal you seek, but I cannot agree with your methods of direct action, who paternalistically believes he can set the timetable for another man's freedom, who lives by a mythical concept of time, and who constantly advises the Negro to wait for a more convenient season. Shallow understanding from people of goodwill is more frustrating than absolute misunderstanding from people of ill will. Lukewarm acceptance is much more bewildering than outright rejection. I had hoped that the white moderate would understand that law and order exist for the purpose of establishing justice, and that when they fail in this purpose, they become the dangerously structured dams that block the flow of social progress. I had hoped that white moderates would understand that the present tension in the South is a necessary phase of the transition from an obnoxious negative peace in which the Negro passively accepted his unjust plight to a substantive and positive peace in which all men will respect the dignity and worth of human personality. Actually, we who engage in nonviolent direct action are not the creators of tension. We merely bring to the surface the hidden tension that is already alive. We bring it out in the open where it can be seen and dealt with, like a boil that can never be cured, so long as it is covered up, but must be open with all its ugliness to the natural medicines of air and light. Injustice must be exposed with all the tension its exposure creates.
To a Saturday edition of RBN Live. I'm your host for today. I am CJ. We're starting out with this video because it's going to be very integral to today's episode. So actually, I'm going to actually put it back up here. But first, again, we're trying something new on RBN where we're trying to sort of create a different schedule to sort of combat what we're going through on the algorithm. So trying to just attack the algorithm at different times. And today's one of those episodes. And you see Nick, you saw Nick earlier, sort of doing his second episode of his Nick at Noon show, which is brand new. So we're in the second season of Nick at Night, and then Nick at Noon is just the Saturday version of that, which is at the noon time. But I do want to bring this back up because and welcome everybody. Thank you for joining me today. But I do want to get kind of into this because I'll bring up my notes here. I'm going to be referring to my notes here. I want to go through the video of Martin Luther King and kind of break down each sort of line that stuck out to me. One of the first lines that sticks out to me is where he says, more devoted to order than to justice. That's very profound to me. So let's play it, excuse me. Let's play it until it gets to that part and we'll discuss.
First, I must confess that over the past few years, I have been gravely disappointed with the white moderate. I have almost reached the regrettable conclusion that the Negro's great stumbling block in his stride toward freedom is not the white citizens' counselor or the Ku Klux Klaner, but the white moderate who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers the negative peace, which is the absence
order than to justice. And I think sometimes people, or maybe I should say it this way. Let me put the words up here.
who is
more devoted to order than to justice, because and we're going to be talking about the road to justice. And in this example that is using here, the road to get to justice is very bumpy. So they prefer the order, at least to have the order, or they prefer the order than to going through this bumpy road or this bumpy path to get to justice. And this is sort of like a critique of the entire ideology of social democracy, the social democrat sort of ideology, because it's a very childlike understanding of achieving whatever it is, liberation, freedom, as if you're going to go from being in this terrible state to being in your goal state without any sort of issues, any sort of fighting, any sort of adversity is the best word to get there. It's very infantile to think that you can go from where we are now to whatever that goal is. Let's say freedom, liberation, $25 minimum wage, to believe you're going to go from there to that simply by rubbing shoulders and getting vote. That's not how it's going to happen. You get what I'm saying? It takes work. But anyway, we're going to talk more about that. But let's continue, because I'm going to just go point by point here.
devoted to order than to justice, who prefers the negative peace, which is the absence of tension.
Now, this is very important to kind of break down. You prefer negative peace, which is the absence of tension. It kind of builds on the previous statement. And you hear it in all of how social democrats even talk, how their language. It's the absence of tension. Like when they're critiquing Biden, they're using certain language as to avoid what? Tension. And it has a lot to do with class, because people of a certain class don't want to are averse to tension. Let's say it that way. They don't really want to get into a situation where there's tension. So understand it. But anyway, I'm gonna get off into a tangent if I don't stay on track here. Let's stay on track. Let's continue with the video to break it down.
To a positive peace, which is the presence of justice.
Right. So it's a negative peace where you're just being quiet for the sake of order and civility. That's a different quiet. That's a different peace, a negative one, because you're only being quiet as to as a contribution to order, right? So whereas positive peace or is a presence of justice, where everything is in order or peaceful because there is justice. Everybody's happy. And that's the exact situation that the professional managerial class, the Bernie Sanders industrial complex, and we'll be getting to that video soon. I'm building up to that. Forgets. They always seems to develop a circular logical argument to talk against that. But let's continue with the video.
Who constantly says, I agree with you on the goal you seek, but I cannot agree with your methods of direct action.
Methods of direct action. I agree with the goals you seek. Isn't that what they say when we critique them? Why are you critiquing them? The Social Democrats. We believe in the same thing. Isn't that what they say? So we believe in the same thing, and this is so crazy. This is literally what David Sirota says. But I have a different strategy. Isn't that okay? I guess in theory, having different strategies is okay. In theory. But when we dive into the details of a strategy, and then we find out that one of your strategy is rubbing two sticks together in order to get health care, you see where we would now have to analyze and break down your strategy and why we need to move on from your strategy. But this tension, and I'm going to use the word tension, that's between the more radical sort of left thinking people and more social democracy sort of thinking people, is strategy. And it's this very point that MLK makes, which is why I argue that the Bernie Sanders industrial complex is the white moderate. The Bernie Sanders, we have the same policies, but we do not agree with your methods of direct action or strategy. You can put strategy if it's not a direct action in place here, as for the point that I'm making. And what do they say about our strategy? Our strategy does what? Create too much tension. But as MLK says in this speech from the Birmingham jail, the letter from Birmingham jail, is in this speech, in order to get to justice or positive peace, there is a road, a path that is going to be bumpy. Let's just say, use that word bumpy. And that is the exact road that people of a certain class do not want to take. If you sip martinis on Sunday afternoons in your, I don't even know, Manhattan apartment, you know what I mean? You're not necessarily going to be advocating for positive peace. You'll be advocating for negative peace, for order. But let's continue with the video.
Who paternalistically believes he can set the timetable for another man's freedom.
Now, this is very important. Now, all of this is very important. I keep saying that. Who paternalistically, you see that word that sticks out to me so much. And where am I? Right here. I'm trying to just go back to that word here. Let's see. Who paternalistically. Isn't that the feeling you get from who we call the NATO left, the Bernie Sanders industrial complex? And I don't mean just people on YouTube. I mean the people who follow that logic. Don't it feels like when they talk to you, they feel like they're patting you on the head, like you're just immature. Isn't that what Crystal Ball said? Grow up. What does that sound like to you? Like a parent, right? paternalistically. Let's continue.
He can set the time.
And this is the thing, that they can set the timetable. Like, we're on their timetable for because I need to stop saying $15 for a $35 minimum wage. We're on their timetable to eliminate police brutality. We're on their timetable to get everybody single payer health care because they're already getting it. So let's continue.
Table for another man's freedom, who lives by a mythical concept of time.
Who lives by a mythical this is, I know I keep saying it, this is why this speech is so now. This is another just literally spot on critique of today. Who lives by a mythical concept of time. What do they tell you? We need to wait to get a committee seat. It's this mythical, next election we'll get him. When are these some people who don't have health care? When is on your timetable, when are they supposed to get it? The person's 10 now, when they're 27? And the point being, as far as strategy, their strategy moves towards the goal too slowly and has too many pitfalls. They say our strategy is too risky. It creates too many relational problems. Isn't that what AOC said? Let's continue with the video so we can get through some of these other receipts here.
And who constantly advises the Negro to wait for a more convenient season.
Isn't that what they're saying about the election between Joe Biden and Donald Trump? Right now is not the time. Jill Biden, Dr. Jill Biden, let's give her respect. Dr. Jill Biden came out and said, now is maybe he's not your candidate, but now is not the time to be going off and doing democracy and picking people you want who align with your thinking of how you believe the government and life in the United States should be ran. A more convenient time. This is literally what we are always told. Let's continue.
Shallow understanding from people of goodwill is more frustrating than absolute misunderstanding from people of ill will.
We say this all the time. It's more infuriating, which is why we go after the squad and progressives, because shallow understanding from people of goodwill, that's way more frustrating. To hear your explanation when we get to the Sam Cedar video, to hear the explanation by Sam Cedar and Emma Vigeland. There's other options besides red or blue. Uh-oh, I hope I didn't turn my mic off. Let me I haven't checked the chat. I should have, because I always have sound problems. Let me make sure I don't have any sound problems. Yeah, nobody's saying there's any sound issue. I'll toss up some of your comments in just a moment, but let's get through this video here.
Lukewarm acceptance is much more bewildering than outright rejection. I had hoped that the white moderate would understand that law and order exists for the purpose of establishing justice, and that when they fail in this purpose, they become the dangerously structured dams that block the flow of social progress.
The dangerously constructed dam. Let me get the right wording. that block the flow of social progress. You might say, what do you mean? We have the same policy ideas. We want to do it. We just want to do it through this very terrible system. Like I said, if your strategy is going through the Democratic Party to get Medicare for all, for example, isn't that rubbing two sticks together to get Medicare for all when they explicitly say they don't want to do that? So isn't that blocking the flow of social progress? But that's what they're trying to talk us into doing. So, and this in lies what some of the frustration as far as what I take from what Martin Luther King is saying here is that you would think blocking the flow of social progress is coming from the people who are saying opposite of what your policy belief, not from people who are saying they're on the side of your policy beliefs, but that is exactly what you're doing when you're telling us now is not the time. When you're telling people in swing states, vote blue. If you're not in a swing state, that is blocking the flow of social progress when you do that. So let's continue with the video.
Yes. I had hoped that white moderates would understand that the present tension in the South is a necessary.
This is the part that I was speaking to earlier. The present tension, when I said there's a path to a positive peace, but it's bumpy. This is what I'm describing. He's described, this is how I described it, the same thing. He's saying that the present tension in the South, because the protesting that's going on in the South, the civil rights movement that's going on, that tension, what does he describe it as?
Is a necessary phase of
is a necessary phase of transition. What I describe as the path is bumpy. You can't get to positive peace. You're on one side. Like right now, how would you describe where we're at? Wouldn't you say we need to improve? So we're at a place where we don't want to be. And we have a goal where we want to be. In order to get there, there's a cliff. I'm on a cliff here. There's water. There's rocks. You get what I'm saying? It's not an easy road, but this is what social democrats want you to believe. Wait until there's an easier road. Wait until there's no tension and we can sneak past the corrupt people who's okay with genocide in our government. Both sides, red or blue, doesn't matter. But this is where, and I had a particular phrase written down here. Let me see where I have it. The actual journey to positive peace is what white moderates despise. The actual journey. That's the issue. What he's describing here, the tension down in the South, because he's describing a current event. I'm giving it a broader context, meaning just for any sort of social change needed, you got to have tension. You got to have protests. You got to have direct action, sit-ins, boycotts in order to get to a positive peace. How did you think the ceasefire? Now let's say ceasefire in occupied Palestine is the positive peace. Now, from October 7th, if you looked at the corporate media and how they were describing what was going on, Nick and I both said it was unbearable. You know what changed that? The protests every day, walking for hours, walking for miles. You know what I'm saying? Getting dehydrated. I was out there. All of our members attended the protests. What's up? Rome is in the building. Let me know when you want to join, sir. Just give me a thumbs up or something like that. So we these protests, how do we get to ceasefire? That's where I was at. How do we get to ceasefire? Which is, in this context, is a positive piece. We all know in real life, ceasefire is not good enough. It's very temporary. So but in the context that we're talking about, a ceasefire is the positive piece. How do we get there? Through protests. Did we get there just saying, let's wait till there's a easier time for Joe Biden and the Zionists when they're going to be nicer? Did they do that? No, they didn't do that. I'm going to play some more of the video. Hang on a second.
Of the transition from an obnoxious negative peace in which the Negro passively accepted his unjust plight to a substantive and positive peace in which all men will respect the dignity and worth of human personality. Actually, we who engage in nonviolent direct action are not the creators of tension.
And this is another important part. And we get our, as far as RBN, and what's up, Rome? You're in are you here? Or are you still chilling? Okay, there you go. Yeah, and we get this RBN. We aren't the creators of the tension. We don't create the tension. It's just that, Rome, we are people who aren't afraid, and he says it in his next line. I'm not going to play it. I'm just going to put it. We merely bring it to the surface. That's all RBN is not afraid of doing. Go ahead, Rome, if you wanted to speak on that, sir.
No. I'll let you play this through it, because
yeah, for sure. All right, so let's continue to play and get through this little presentation in the beginning.
To the surface, the hidden tension that is already alive. We bring it out in the open where it can be seen and dealt with.
That's it. Did we create police brutality? Or are we just talking about it when we say this is the solution, defund the police? Did we create it? No, but we're going to talk about it. And this is when the last time you see the majority report, I'm not going to call them out specifically. Social Democrats don't cover the police state as much because they don't care. They're not affected by the police state. So they don't care.
These people live in gentrified neighborhoods, bro. They need the police. They need the police. Look how the people at TYT talk about the homeless that's in their communities, how they make it look ugly, et cetera, et cetera. They need the police, and they want the police in their neighborhoods, and they're going to continue to gentrify our neighborhoods as it continues, as this continues. And it's so funny to me, and MLK said this, because black and brown people have been cleaning up the world's shit. Like, and I don't mean that, you know what I'm saying, just by metaphorically. No, I mean literally been cleaning up y'all shit. It took for black leaders. Black leaders had to revolutionize you people, had to spark your mind and teach you things that your leaders refuse to teach you. And that's the reason why you rocking with RBN now, is because of the leaders before them was telling you the exact same things. And it's crazy that we should not relate to a Martin Luther King quote. We should not have to relate to a Malcolm X quote. Those days are over. We should be living in better times. But it's a shame to see that we still can relate to a fucking Malcolm X quote, and this man been dead before I was alive.
That is a fucking great point.
Black people have been cleaning up y'all shit, and we're honestly tired of it. Tired. You know what I'm saying? And I'm telling you guys, if you don't get your shit together, they will for you. If you don't teach your kids, they will for you. If you don't take control of your community, they will for you. And what has happened? What has happened since your grandmother years? We watch houses decay. We watch people be displaced. We watch families separate. You can't sit here and tell me life has gotten better since this man has been alive. No, it hasn't. For who? The majority of us is losing it. And now white people is in the same boat with us. Look at that. Look at that. When we told y'all this can happen to you too, because capitalism does what capitalism does. Nobody believes it. Now everybody pointing the finger at each other. And this is the problem in Detroit. These motherfuckers, oh, well, all these niggas that's selling dope, they the reason why the shit like this. All these gang members, they the reason. No. Those niggas been there. They're gonna be there, whether it's capitalism, communism, socialism, whatever it may be. They've been there and they're gonna be there after. The fucking what destroyed our community was capitalism. Y'all had it good for a minute, and then they can snatch it all away in a blink because you don't own it. You don't own the means of production. So what happened when Detroit, when they sold all the jobs out of Detroit? Look at it now. No houses, no generational wells, no schools, no nothing. And now we have to clean up this bullshit again.
Back to your point of black people having to keep cleaning up shit, and then I'm gonna make this point. Get back to the video because just to piggyback off what you're saying, because I saw this in a segment. Somebody black was saying is like, y'all keep asking us. It might have been Charlemagne the God. It was like, y'all keep asking us to come clean up shit, and we're not cleaning up. Like right here, we're being asked to save democracy. They're panicking because the black vote is in the 60 percentile, and it needed to be about 92% Rome in order for them to win the election. So they're panicking, going to black churches, needing black people to save democracy that is not treating us well, which is crazy.
If we look at these numbers, they do not need black people. Like they
don't need us.
Black people. Like 1 in 13 black people can't even fucking vote. And more than likely, their seeds, their kids, their families not into politics. They don't vote. Because if my father wasn't able to vote, why would he teach me anything about politics except for become a revolutionary? Right? So if 1 in 13 black people can't vote, we 13% of the population. What is it, like 6% males, the rest is women? We have no real numbers. This is just an excuse, you know what I'm saying? To be like, look what y'all helped us. Y'all helped us save democracy once again. Black women helped us save democracy once again, but y'all could have won with just white women. We wouldn't have made a difference. And that's the.
But they can't convince enough white women not to vote. They can't convince enough white women. This is why they go after white women. And Nick talks about it. They can't convince enough white women to vote for them. Rome, even though they get the majority of them. But let's get back to the video, and then we can get to some other receipts, and we get to the main event video, which is the Sam Cedar, Emma Vigeland video, telling us to vote genocide no matter who.
Out with, like a boil that can never be cured, so long as it is covered up, but must be open with all its.
This, you hear that? Like a boil that could never be cured if it's covered up. It has to be exposed. You have to see it. It's going to be a bumpy road to positive peace. We're not going to just telepath our way there. This is not Star Trek. Let's continue.
Ugliness to the natural medicines of air and light. Injustice must be exposed with all the tension its exposure creates to the light of human conscience and the air of national opinion before it can be cured.
And that is facts coming from, our elder, MLK. Although if I had to, rank him, he would probably be 7th or 8th. In my radical favorites, I like Marcus Garvey and MLK. Those are I'm sorry, Malcolm X. Those are some of my favorites. But let's continue with the topic here. And the topic, the next part I want to get to is this, and that is they're saying. So this is the next part. I have the next banner. The lesser of two evils was killed by genocide in Palestine and the Yemen bombing. And this is what's astonishing to me, and I need to change this here. This is what's astonishing to me, Rome. The video that we're going to be showing in a little bit after I show a couple of articles here. They put this video out about voting blue no matter who on the day that Yemen is bombed. Like they can't read the room. Like they dropped this video on the day 24 hours. Now granted it was within 24 hours, it wasn't like within hours, but on the day that Yemen was bombed. So it just shows that they have no sort of
they can't say they don't know, because I don't call myself a journalist or whatever, but I still go out and search up certain things I'm going to speak on or I want to know about. And we know that the UK and the US has sent out multiple messages saying that they are going to attack. They're going to hit them with airstrikes. They're going to be on the ground with. So there is no excuse of, oh, well, we didn't know. No, you knew. This was a calculated plan to keep the people's eyes off of what's really going on, to keep your audience dumb and in the dark. I still can't believe this nigga got a career. What the fuck? After, think about this. What can they offer you? CJ, let's say I'm a Democratic voter and I need you to vote for Biden. What can I actually offer you? Roe v. Wade can't be, saying they ain't doing nothing with that. They ain't doing nothing. He just cut so many people off food stamps. He cut so many people off Medicaid. You lost those voters, right? So you lost the youth, because they are more anti-war than the older generations ever been. They are more tuned in. So how can I sell you a Democrat when we failed on everything? We didn't even get the kids out of cages. It was like 6,000 to 8,000 kids in cages under Donald Trump. Now it's like 15,000 and mass deportations. 1 million fucking Haitians deported in less than a year. How can I sell you Joe Biden? You can't, nigga.
Facts, Rome. So happy you joined today, sir. And moving along with the presentation, it's a small presentation, but it's still a presentation. The lesser of two evils was killed by genocide in Palestine and the Yemen bombing. I just want to show a couple of headlines and then read a couple of articles to talk about this idea, because Sam Cedar, the Social Democrats, the Bernie Sanders industrial complex is now going to sell the idea of lesser of two evils. And to your point of saying, how can you sell Joe Biden? How can they sell this at this point, especially now after this Yemen bombing? So there's going to be a war in the Middle East for sure. And I can almost say almost for sure is my betting is what I would bet on right now. To war with China in a couple of years. They're talking about 2025. By 2025, we'll be in a war with China. Then we're talking about being bled to death by Ukraine, and they still want some money. And now we got Israel. I already said Israel. That's going to be the Middle East war. So where's the lesser of two evils that you're selling in Biden? You're saying it could be worse than this? It can be worse than nuclear war? Is that what you're saying?
Hyperbole.
Or, go ahead.
Hyperbole, it can be worse, CJ. Think about it like this. You get Trump elected. He banned all the Muslims. He killed all the blacks. He lock up all the women. He take up all the rights. Right? Hyperbole.
That's exactly.
As somebody who has lived through a Trump administration already, you can't fool me twice, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Dude, these motherfuckers make up shit that they want to see. What they feel in their motherfucking heart. When they say Trump is going to kill, or I'm telling you, they are saying this as a threat. They're saying you better vote for Joe Biden, or we're going to wish white supremacy come down on you. We're going to wish the iron fist never let off your ass. This is a threat. It's not voter outreach. It's a threat, because they have nothing else to offer your ass, because everybody is done. We all broke. We all fucked up. asking our neighbors for shit. Now we back to socialism. They forcing us back to socialism because capitalism doesn't fucking work anymore. The 1% don't know how to pay their fucking fair share. God damn,
That's great.
this shit is
Great
ridiculous.
point. Great points. Great points. So, a few more things I have written down here. So, white moderates are not the enemy, and this is why they are the enemy, but they are cloaked in that they are friends. They are people who present themselves as allies, which is very hard. You know, when somebody's saying, "Yeah, I'm down with Medicare for all," it's hard to be like, "Get the hell away from me," because you're a white moderate. So this is the reason why we have so much difficulty with this group, because otherwise you would say, why the hell won't you just sort of get, disconnect from this particular group? Anyway, I digress. But to your point, you just said, Rome, that is scare tactics, aka Trump deranged syndrome, can only work when you have one of the variables unknown. And in 2020, Rome, the variable that was unknown was a Joe Biden presidency. We knew a Donald Trump presidency. Hey, okay, it's bad. And we were sold a pipe dream on a this wonderland, this wonderland for Joe Biden administration. But we've lived through both. So now there's no unknown variable here. So to your point, how can Trump deranged syndrome still work? And it's not. You can see it in the polls. That's why, Rome, he's winning in like 6 to 8 battleground states. He's winning by double digits, and I think at least 6 of them in those polls. So when we're talking about lesser of two evils, is this headline speaking to a lesser of two evils? It says Israel admits deliberately targeting journalists in strike that kills son of an Al Jazeera bureau chief. Now he has like his entire family killed because he had became sort of popularized because he had other family members killed. And now his son, who was also a journalist, was killed under a Joe Biden watch, who as to my knowledge, still refuses to say even ceasefire, refuses to say he's not down with this genocide, refuses to call it a genocide. In fact, his State Department goons is calling this without merit.
I mean, look.
So go ahead.
This is why I don't give a motherfuck what the West considers a goddamn thing. These are the same people who redefine what are I'm about to say the wrong word. Hold on. What a recession is, right? We just did this. We just went through this. So I can give a fuck what the West got to say. What is what? What we Middle East for the last 20-something years, that was a genocide. And all we had to show for it was, damn, I'm sorry. My bad. I ain't know. What the fuck?
Yes.
It was a lie. And now we have Nancy Pelosi said, yeah, I knew Bush was lying. What? And these people ain't locked up for life? Ain't facing a fucking fire squad? Come on, man. We killed millions of people. We didn't wipe out generations. And people, look, we look at the numbers and we just think so bold about the numbers. But think about the trauma. Think about the children being born, being affected by those bombs that we dropped. They're being born with 3 legs, 1 eye, 3 eyes. That's real fucking life, not Futurama. Look it up. Look what happens when we do this to humans. And then we want to look at ourselves like we're the noble guy, like we're the good guys. Good at what? Killing?
Psychopath.
Raping? Robbing? You're great at that. Yo, yes, you're the good guys at that. But when it comes to minding your own business or try to build a relationship instead of taking resources from another country, like, I don't I barely take Americans, regular day Americans serious. And I would be damned if I take a LPAC puppet serious on any issue. On any issue.
Facts, Rome. So happy you joined, sir. Because that you're balancing this stream, and it's greatly needed, and the love is being shown in the chat. Just shouting that out. All right, so this next headline here, when we're talking about lesser of two evil, is this lesser of two evil for some in our undocumented community? Biden asked Supreme Court to give State Department sweeping powers to separate immigrant families, provoking anger across Latin America. That's the Biden administration. Again, back to what Martin Luther King said. You want negative peace over positive peace. You want just order over justice. And I'll read just a little bit of this here in this article, just so you know what this is here. Where was it at? It's right here. Now, this case, State Department versus Sandra Munez, involves a husband and a wife who lived together in Los Angeles, California for years. The couple was separated in 2015 as a result of an arbitrary decision by a consular's office at the U.S. Embassy in El Salvador, denying Lewis, who was the husband, the ability to re-enter the country without explaining why. Though the Ninth Circuit of Appeals ruled that this violated the Constitution, okay? Meaning Sandra won in the Ninth Circuit of Appeal. Following, the Biden administration is appealing that decision to the right-wing Supreme Court.
Remember me, you and Nick was saying, this is some of the most gangster shit a nigga have ever seen. And it's like, I done seen niggas get their head blown off in front of my eyes, bro. But this is some of the most gangster shit that you can do. Even like going around Congress and bombing another country fucking 5,000 miles away from. This is some gangster ass shit, bro. And all these, the Constitution, these people break the Constitution daily in their faces. And then tell them you don't have a right to fucking talk back to me. They're trying to take away our right to protest. Like, this is some gangster ass shit, bro. This is gangster. I ain't gonna hate. I ain't gonna hate. I see you, G. When
no,
I know
you know when gangster, gangster hood niggas know when they see some gangster shit all the time. And let me just make sure we understand what he's doing here. The Biden administration is appealing the decision to the in this they say right-wing Supreme Court, arguing, this is what the Biden administration arguing, that the Constitution does not apply in the consular's process, and not even to U.S. citizens. Understand, this is a U.S. citizen who are permanently separated from their spouse. This is the lesser of two evils, because if we changed this headline and it said Trump asked Supreme Court to give State Department sweeping powers to separate families, you guys would be in the damn streets yelling. Majority Report.
They'd be on the fence crying and shit. No.
Yeah, so that's what's so weird. And now let's get to the next sort of article.
Because they don't want to feel guilty, dog. You know what I'm saying? They like, I remember I made this tweet a while ago. I said first I made one tweet. I said, there's blood on your hands. You voted for Joe Biden. Something had happened. I think he bombed Syria on his first day or something like that. And somebody was like, I voted for Joe Biden for trans rights, for this rights and those rights, right? I was like, okay, well, you voted for him for genocide, for deportation, for blah, blah, right? You can't just take the good and just run like, everything
this ain't a la carte.
Like, hold on, ain't your name? Vote for this. That is, you know what I'm saying? That's like a contract.
It's like, this ain't a la carte, man. You can't have it like you want it. This ain't Burger King. But yeah, that's a great point. But going more into why Joe Biden is not the lesser of two evil, essentially, let's talk about this here, because this title here, and then I'm going to go to the part. This is a great sort of synopsis summary of our situation. Trump threatens dictatorship, but Genocide Joe is no alternative. That's the point. And let me read this part of the article here, right down here. Now, let's answer this question. How is it possible that an ex-president, that's Donald Trump, who attempted to remain in power by violence on January 6, 2021, now that's not my assessment, I'm just reading the article, in violation of the Constitution after losing the 2020 election by 7 million votes, is now leading the polls against Biden? How is that possible? That's a question that we're all asking. How is he leading in 6 to 8 battleground states? In 6 of them, he's winning by double digits. How is that even possible? Go ahead.
If you want to talk about violence, using violence to keep your position, we can talk about Biden wanting to go to war to stay in power, because it is possible. If we are in too much of a, you know what I'm saying, too much shit, we might just have to keep the same fucking president.
Yeah,
that's still legal.
To pull that
so
Ukraine shit.
He can be using violence
to pull that Ukraine shit
to keep his position too, because every time they accuse somebody of some shit, they do it. It's in their handbook. So every time they say some shit, I look and be like, okay, what the fuck y'all niggas doing, bro? I don't think them niggas even smart enough to pull some shit off like that. Crazy.
All right. So now, in answering that question, this is the part I wanted to get to, which is part of this segment here. Now, because we're talking about lesser of two evils, they're trying to get us to vote for a genocider because it's not V-Genocide-NMW anymore. It's VG, G as in genocide. Vote genocide no matter who. Now, and I'm going to explain how that applies to the Democratic Party and Sam Cedar right here. It is because the Democratic Party has aided and abetted in the revival of the Republican Party and Trump in particular by ignoring the social problems of working people that prevailed when Biden took office. So when people, Sam Cedar and Ema, come and make a deal with you in 2020 to say, hey, not deal with them, but the Joe Biden administration. Hey, yeah, I'll swallow my tongue, my pride, and vote for you as long as you say you come through and do those things, and then you don't do anything to provide solutions to the working class. What did they do with minimum wage? Nothing. What have they done on police violence? Nothing. Even after the George
Look what
Floyd.
they're doing with the pandemic right now, bro. She was basically waving. Hey, if I was like the press secretary, basically just put her middle fingers up, like, hey, I don't know what the fuck y'all niggas talking about, blah 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 blah. I was like, damn. They don't give a fuck, bro. They so open.
They don't.
But what the fuck are you gonna do about it? Nothing.
Right.
Because they got you on a hamster wheel already. They got you on a hamster wheel. You about to be in this infinite loop of electoral politics, and you're gonna go through it because you love it. You love being abused. At this point, because ain't no way I can see a man take away my mother's Social Security, my auntie's food stamps. No, don't do anything for the working class. Cutting stripes. Ain't no way I can see that. And still have to call to vote for a man like that. Or even say something positive about a man like that. You love it at this point. What the fuck you gonna do about it? Nothing.
Yeah.
You're gonna say, but Trump, but this person is worse, but those person, these people over there. But nigga, you right here, right now, are in power to do something about something. You know what I'm saying? But hey,
in the butt Trump part. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead if you were. I couldn't see you. Go ahead if you're still talking. But the butt Trump part is the part that they always bring up, and to that point, how will we ever pressure the Democratic, and Rome will be back, his connection dropped. How will we ever pressure the Democratic Party in a way that produces anything? And he's back already. How will we pressure the Democratic Party in a way to produce anything ever if they can do this? And I'll bring you in, Rome. I don't know if you're ready, but I'll bring you in. If they can do this, if Biden can abandon his campaign promises to maintain an economic support for the victims of the pandemic, oversee the raising of living standards for workers, curb police violence against working people, and alleviate the increasing onerous debt burden on college students and graduates. So he doesn't come through on any of that from his 2020 promises. And y'all are saying vote for him again. So why would he come through on any new promises? Why would he do that? You see how if we go with the social democrat strategy, it is a self-fulfilling prophecy that we're not going to get anything. We're not going to get any production. You're just going to live for 10 years. What is that famous video or infamous video of David Sirota? I've been at this for 30 years. You've been at this for 30 years and you're still talking about doing the same thing? That's kind of weird to me. But let's get back to the article. Instead of addressing these social needs, the Biden administration has pursued a single-minded focus on war and militarism, provoking and then intervening in the war in Ukraine against Russia, and now sanctioning and enabling the Israeli genocide in Gaza. Meanwhile, there is a steady military buildup in the Asian Pacific region in preparation for even more terrible war, this time against China, which, like Russia, is a nuclear armed power. This brazen indifference to the needs of the working people have led to the collapse in political support for Biden, even in the passive form registered by opinion polls. Biden's approval rating is now below 40%, and he trails Trump by significant margins in all the critical battleground states, which Democrats won narrowly in 2021. This, you can't make this shit up, Rome. And now enters the Bernie Sanders industrial complex to come in and say, hey guys, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Do you?
I want to speak on something about that article, man, because I don't like how Americans are not afraid. I don't like that, because you guys are too arrogant to be Americans, I should say, because I cannot count. I'm trying to think of a war that you guys won against a somewhat powerful military army. I mean, shit, you got your ass kicked in the Middle East. They lost a lot of people because you was ethnic cleansing, but y'all still got your ass kicked. I mean, just about everybody kicked your ass, and I don't think you should be as cocky as you are. Because not only is these armies, way bigger than ours, armies way bigger than ours, militaries way bigger than ours, they have way better technology. And if you are into war like I'm into war, I know that Russia have drones that can go undetected by the American system. See, I don't think you guys should be as cocky as you are right now. Because if we're going to go to war with another, come on, man, China, Russia? All right. Okay. All right, go ahead. Y'all gonna die. Y'all gonna die with that pride. Y'all gonna die with that pride, I'm telling you. Because you're not gonna win. You're not going to win. Y'all are NATO is getting their ass kicked collectively by Russia. You're not gonna win.
Spot on. And I got one more snippet of an article, and then we're gonna end the segment on the video with Sam Cedar. Trying to change up how I do a show. I want to do it more backwards this way, where I do the build up. But just a couple of more headlines here. This is illegal. U.S. lawmakers slam strike on Yemen. You know, the war that Biden has decided to start. Now, Sam Cedar and the Majority Report put out the video that we're going to be talking in a little bit on the day that this happened, that this article is talking about, which was an illegal strike. He did not get granted authorization by Congress to do this. And he's being called out by some Democrats. Kudos to those Democrats, even if they're social Democrats. Some Democrats are calling out that this is an illegal strike. And this is one of their publications. Common Dream is part of the sort of Jacobin left, you know, the professional managerial class. This is their one of their publications. This is illegal. U.S. lawmakers slam strikes on Yemen. Quote, the people do not want more of our taxpayer dollars going to endless war and the killing of civilians, said Democratic Rep. Cori Bush. Quote, stop bombing and do better by us. And I'll read just a little bit. U.S. lawmakers said Thursday that the Biden administration barrage of airstrikes in Yemen launched in coordination with American allies, but without congressional approval, was blatantly unconstitutional and dangerous, heightening the risk of full-blown regional conflict. And I'm going to read a couple of quotes here. Quote, this is illegal and violates Article 1 of the Constitution, end quote. Rep. Cori Bush wrote on social media following the strikes. Quote, the people do not want, and I read that one already, they repeat it, and I'll move on. The Biden administration said the airstrikes, which is characterized as a response to the Houthi attacks on commercial ship vessels in the Red Sea, hit more than 60 targets in Yemen. Now, let's clarify what's going on here. And if you watched the earlier stream on RBN, you saw Nick talk about this. And that is, understand what's happening. This is capitalists going to war, willing to go to war to save money. That's what this is about. They want to be able to take this shorter route, save money on gas and other things instead of going around Africa. They want, and they're willing to fight and kill for that and go to war. Capitalists are willing in order to save some money. You understand? That's the reason for this. And another thing that I picked up in Nick's stream that I wanted to make sure I said here, and that is when calling them the Houthis. We like the name, but understand they're trying to pretend like the Houthis aren't the representation, the military representation of Yemen. Yemen is a sovereign country. This is them. Okay, they're trying to make it seem like this is just some Negroes in the jungle. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're trying to make it seem like when they use words like rebels, and that's not what's going on here. Just wanted to clarify that part. And I'll read this last quote from these last two quotes from Pramila Jayapal and Rashida Tlaib. Quote, this is unacceptable violation of the Constitution, said Pramila Jayapal, chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. Quote, Article 1 requires that military action be authorized by Congress, end quote. Now, just like these quotes illustrate the point of the broader point, which is, now, what are they going to do, Rome? What is Pramila Jayapal? What is Cori Bush? What is Rashida Tlaib?
They're going to vote in favor for them fucking bombs. They're going to fall in line. And this is all...
Exactly.
This is, you know what I'm saying, some bullshit, political theater, just to make the Progressive Caucus feel better about voting for these war criminals, because all of them by now, like, they have had short careers in politics, and all of them are war criminals now. All of them voted for some bombs or some defense systems, whatever the fuck you want to call them, right? They voted in favor of war. My nigga, like,
another word.
Progressive Democrats are the reason why we have Space Force, bro. They voted in... I'm sorry, that weed was good, but goddamn.
All right. I get back to that. All right, let me read this last quote right here from Rashida Tlaib. Rashida Tlaib said, echo Giant Paul writing that U.S. President Joe Biden is, quote, violating Article 1 of the Constitution by carrying out airstrikes in Yemen without constitutional approval, end quote. Now, another reason that makes this sort of just ridiculous, like virtue signaling, is because none of the wars we do are authorized by Congress. The war, we're not. I don't know if we're not technically in Syria on the books supposedly. So, but we have troops on the ground there that was not given congressional authorization. So they're pretending like to see one military action that doesn't get authorization versus another. This is one that they can hand wring about, but there's a bunch of them that they're completely fine with, or to have their mouths shut about. So that's one. I think I got one more article to show before we get to, and it's on Yemen too, because I wanted to make sure I get this part in. This second article is from World Star. I'm sorry, I always say that because it's WS, but it's a World Socialist website. The headline, if you want to look it up, the U.S. UK attack Yemen and the global eruption of imperialist war. And I'm going to read just a snippet of this right down here. Okay, here we go. The launching of military strikes against Yemen marks a new stage in a deepening imperialist military offensive throughout the Middle East and beyond. The U.S. and its imperialist allies are waging a de facto war against Iran, working to eliminate Iran's military allies throughout the Middle East. The strikes against Yemen are directed at encircling Iran and provoking it into retaliation against U.S. forces, which could be used to justify a full-scale war against Tehran, which is Iran. But tell me more how Joe Biden is the lesser of two evils, Bernie Sanders' industrial complex. Rome, did you want to chime in before I bring up the video? This video, you may have seen it online, but if you have not seen it, I kind of hope you haven't seen it yet, because I want you to go into this raw, like go into this blind here, so you get your raw reaction to this shit. Because it's a short video too, so that makes it cool to cover. It's a short video, but we're still gonna cover this. So let's get to it. Oh, actually, that was it right there. I went away from it. And this is my tweet with the video, and I'll read it first. Did I have a different headline for this? Let me make sure I did not. Yeah, let's put this one up. And I'll read. This is the tweet that kind of sparked the idea for today's stream. I had another stream set up to go over current events. I think I'm going to start do more streams like this, which is what I used to do. I did less current events, and then I started moving to current events in 2023. I'm going to go back to my old days. But let me read this tweet and then play the video. Less than 24 hours after Genocide Joe began bombing Yemen, the Bernie Sanders industrial complex drops a clip titled "The Vote Blue Conversation in 2024." Spoiler alert, they want us to vote for Genocide Joe. The Social Democrats are the white moderates of 2024. MLK and Malcolm X warned us about people who pretend to be aligned with your policy beliefs, but always find a way to explain why they're going against those so-called policy beliefs. Notice how this video comes out right at the launch of the Democrat Party strategy for 2024. And I actually tagged Sam and Emma in this video. Let me refresh it because sometimes it's been sitting here this whole time. So let me refresh it. Twitter be acting up when a video sits a while. So I'll refresh it. It was at 300 likes when we started. Let's see. Oh, 300 is where we're in. I'm sorry, I misspoke. All right, let's get into the video. Rome, I can't see, so just give me a verbal cue if you wanted to stop, sir. Or did you want to say something right now, sir?
Man,
go ahead if you wanted to preface it. Say again?
Just said he was a Zionist, so I don't know if that's true or not.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Much to even know that, but I can see if he, if that's the case, yeah, it makes sense. But goddamn, I didn't know that.
Yeah, all right. So let's play the video.
I don't want to have this conversation right now because I know we're going to have it 100 times before the election.
You know what I want to do with this conversation?
I know you want to jettison it into the
flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times, as opposed to once. They end up using more water.
But let me just say this: that no,
10, 15 times.
We had this conversation. The amount of times that I have said in the past that voting is not an act of self-expression, that voting is a tool, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's going to come up because, there is real reason for people to be completely enraged and disgusted at Joe Biden, particularly from my perspective, on his unfettered support of Israel's assault on Gaza, slaughter. But the best expression.
Hold on, CJ. Hey, remember that stripper's booty, nigga? Remember that stripper ass, nigga? It's always a big ass butt in the way, boy. They love that butt. They love that butt. You see that big ass butt, boy? Oh my God, I just love what I was waiting for it. I was like,
Rome, it's so funny because I was gonna stop it and talk about the butt, and I was gonna now you took it a different way. But I was gonna say, my mama always told me what you want to pay attention the most to and what's most important to the person that's speaking to you is everything after the butt. Everything before the butt is nonsense. That's the thing they don't care the most about. Is the things that come.
I don't mean
before
to
the
offend
butt.
you, but I'm about to say some of the illest shit that you ever heard, nigga, about yourself.
But I like your example better, Rome. I must say, I like your example. It takes me back to my DJing days at a gentleman's club. So, but let's get back to the video. Everything before the butt. So all the I care, Joe Biden is terrible. There's a lot of things to be mad about him, and all that is less important than the things that come after the butt.
On his unfettered support of Israel's assault on Gaza, slaughter. But the best expression of like how I think you should approach voting that I've seen, and maybe even better than I've articulated it, frankly, which is not always fun to admit, particularly since I've had to articulate this over the course of 10 years, was from Ole and O'Loren, right?
Olami O'Loren.
Olami O'Loren. And I mean, I've seen her on.
Now it's a video. I posted this video, Rome.
Oh my God, bro!
But if I didn't, I posted it.
Interest.
Yeah, I posted the video that he's speaking to that was on Ola, I just call her, on her podcast, and she has a bunch of different Black people in media spaces, Black activists, doctors, stuff like that in there. When she speaks, and then she goes to them and gets their opinion from Ben Dixon to Conscious Lee to somebody named FD Fighter. I think he's very Signal. He's very popular, but I don't know who he is. But they have a bunch of people in there. We're gonna be talking about this on Monday on the Nick and CJ show, the video that they're talking about. So don't worry, we're still gonna cover that, just not in this video. But understand, we will be covering that on Monday. Okay, so I just wanted to say that.
Online for quite some time, but her perspective on voting, I think, is and she has a video out on it that somebody had recommended. I think it's titled like Voting Guide 2023. It just came out like I don't know, maybe a couple of weeks ago, and it's a long video, but you really only have to watch the first 15 minutes, in my estimation, 20 minutes, to get the yes,
I'll get to the
2023 election survival guide, 2024 election survival guide. Sorry, this came out.
Wow. 8
days ago. Okay, and we'll put a link to this. You really only have to watch the first 15, 20 minutes, but I encourage you to watch the whole thing. But it really just expresses the whole point of voting, which is, as a mechanism, one mechanism, to make it easier for people to organize and get what they want. And it really is just one mechanism to make it easier. She's quite explicit about seeing government officials as her adversaries. She's a defense attorney, but she's also an advocate for carceral reform. But I think this applies to just about everything. That you're trying to get stuff from the government that they don't want to give you at different times, regardless of who is any given politician, because there's always going to be more than one politician, one government agency, one various sets of incentives that cut against stuff, even if people genuinely want and they're hard to provide it or don't want to provide it. It really doesn't matter. And the point is, you want to elect a person or people to these offices that are going to be the most susceptible, or you can articulate it as the weakest, against your advocacy for.
So let's attack that point. This is the Social Democrats' point, to get in the person who will put up the weakest fight against what you want. Now, what is one of the biggest issues that we've been fighting for is not so much now, but Medicare for all. Now, when a person says, I will veto Medicare for all when it comes to my desk, explain that now to me when you say elect the weakest person against what you want. And then another thing, Roman, then I'll pass it to you if you wanted to chime in here. This is what I wrote down about this idea. The idea of fighting a friendlier opponent, meaning helping to elect who you're now seeing as a friendlier opponent in the Democratic Party or Joe Biden, that is debunked by the slumber of half of the so-called coalition of the left when a Democrat is in power. In other words, you go to sleep when a Democrat is in power. That's the problem with this particular point. Because this is a so-called friendlier adversary, you are acting friendly toward this person, which means you are in a slumber position. Just think about it. Think about what's happening in the ICE facilities. When Trump was in office, these people like him on the screen in the Bernie Sanders industrial complex, they was out on the front lines yelling and screaming. Now Biden is in office. What has happened to their advocacy on the same topic? It's slumber. It's in slumber. So to the point, to counter the point that he's making, the very fact that it's a friendly opponent and you have chosen to position your whole political style is to be friends with these people instead of being adversarial, you go to sleep when they're in office. So now I'm not one to say I'm an accelerist because I don't advocate for voting for Trump in order to push these people to be more active. That would be people would call an accelerant, and I wouldn't say that's a bad thing if you advocate for that. But I'm saying when Trump is in office, there is more people yelling the same thing that we are yelling, Rome. Have you seen that? It seems like even they get more radical. TYT gets more radical. AOC gets more radical when Trump is in office. So it proves the point. It proves it sort of is a counter to their point. Their own action is an encounter to their own point that they're making here. I know that was long-winded.
It's just a plot to keep you in that infinite loop of electoral politics, and it's all just vibes. Like Nick said, it's all just vibes. You know, it's all vibes. Even though we have pledged our allegiance to this man, pledged our allegiance to this party, and hundreds of thousands of people suffer from it. But at least we can feel good about it. These people will continue to get people killed, because if they can say this type of shit in the midst of wars across the fucking world, what else would they say when the shit is really hitting the fan? Right? You need to get off of their plantation, and you being on their plantation has fed them, has made them fat. So fat to the point to now they're greedy and they don't want to give it up. They can't, for some reason, they can't move to the left to tell you the truth. In order to get what you're gonna need a revolution. You poor motherfuckers, you're gonna need a revolution. There is no boots that you can strap up tight enough to get to be where you need to be today. But it's gonna make them richer. You're gonna view their channel. They monetize, they get paid for it. Oh yeah. Look how rich these people have gotten. From them, Kyle Kalinske to Crystal Ball. Look how rich these people have gotten in the years of us watching them. And look how poor we have gotten. And you still think that these people are on your side? When they holly go jolly with a politician, anytime they get a chance, when it's time to stick up for the working class, they're sitting here shaming us, calling us dumb. And that's class solidarity. That's a class solidarity that these people have been trying to, say that we have amongst one another. No, it's bullshit.
That's a spot on point here. Let's see what else they have to say, Rome. It's about a minute left. Let's listen to the last minute of the video.
For stuff, for people.
And it's not just the politician themselves, too, especially when we're talking about national elections. It's their staff, it's the coalitions they bring with them, it's the people that have endorsed them.
So basically, she's saying, trying to insert the NLRB, because that's what they've been pushing as the thing that we need to vote for. Remember the debate between Bree and Beyonce and Jay-Z, aka Colin and Crystal. Remember that? Remember that debate? Like, this is what she's alluding to right here. Let me back it up so she can make the same point, and then we'll continue.
You can articulate it as the weakest against your advocacy for stuff, for people.
And it's not just the politician themselves, too, especially when we're talking about national elections. It's their staff, it's the coalitions they bring with them, it's the people that have endorsed them.
Yeah, when you talk about president and staff, you're talking about 40,000 appointments.
That's why, it's not a...
Are you talking about Pete Buttigieg? Are you talking about Lloyd Austin? You talking about Anthony Blinken? Neera Tanden? Like, who are you talking about here? This is literally a joke, but let's continue.
A popularity contest in that way, or like about the person. You're not voting for America's mascot. You're voting for like the people that will be brought along. Lena Khan and Julie Su are good examples of people who had departments under the Biden administration that who have made real differences, and that would not be the case under obviously a Trump one.
But if you I will, maybe we'll play a clip, we'll isolate a clip that we can play so that we don't necessarily have to answer these questions every time. But in the meantime, go check that out.
Yeah, they don't want to have to answer the questions about vote blue or vote genocide no matter who. They don't want to have to keep answering, because that's why they even addressed it, because it was a question they had gotten from someone or something. They were if you watch the live stream in the clip, you can't see it, but if you watch the live stream, they were answering a question, and they were reluctantly answering it. Like, they didn't really want to have to address it at all. I got one more headline to kind of show, and it's this one right here. And that is, young people turn on Genocide Joe over his ceasefire stand. Biden absolutely sucks. That is a quote. So young people get it. But we have the Bernie Sanders industrial complex, people like Sam Cedar, Emma Vigeland, and I guess Oyeme would be sort of Bernie Sanders industrial complex adjacent. They have a different idea.
They call me crazy because I say I don't want these type of people near me or my coalition, because all they try to do is co-opt it. Look at, they got solidarity for Palestinians, right? If your word, you just stopped your solidarity by voting for a man that's fucking genociding their asses. What the hell is going on? What do you mean, man? So all that shit is just a co-op. It's just words to play with you, to keep you watching their show, to keep filling their fucking bank accounts, and to push you back into the Democratic Party. That's the only thing that they have for you. Listen to me. This is the only thing they have for you. They have not built any coalitions outside of the Democratic Party. They have no nonprofit as an organization themselves. It's just talking heads. So they can't put you in the right direction because they was never in the right direction in the first fucking place.
Facts. That's such magnificent facts there, Rome. And I think I'm going to end the segment there. I'm trying to do a 90-minute show, so it's right at 90 minutes. We're gonna shout out the website and some other things, and some fundraising, I guess we can shout out. But I do want to make sure everybody understands that RBN is under attack by the establishment because of the coverage we do, in particular on Palestine and Israel, which we were already under a sort of a de-amplification, but it was severe, it was amped up. There's levels to this. As a general rule, independent media is suppressed as a general rule. So even Circular Talk, even Majority Report, but they're not as suppressed as a different level, and then another level, there's another level, and we can see that have been placed on a different level since October. We were averaging, Rome, something like 400,000 views solid for months, like almost a year, like 11 months straight. Right mid-October, that shit went right to 200. It split in half. Video, and then I swear I'm on a spectrum. I just haven't been tested, but I pick up patterns, and that's the reason why I'm operations for RBN, because I pick up patterns, and I picked up this pattern. I looked at the numbers. I'm like, wow, and I looked up the percentage where it was cut by 25% more than what it was. like the amplification level was a 25% increase in how much they were sort of suppressing us. Is what was the number I came up with, was a 25% increase in suppression. So and this is literally because of the Israel, and this means that they were unfollowing people. Several people make comments in our streams all the time. I was unfollowed for the second time, but I follow back. My own accounts was unfollowed. The RBN Long Beach account was unfollowed 5 times in one single month. And then they do things like they invisibilize our videos, where at 1 p.m. it says 200 views. And for 5 hours, all it says is 200 views. So not a single view in 5 hours. And this is a new video or new stream. And then it'll pick back up and it'll start picking back up. That's to suppress. Because if a person, people are very bandwagoners, Rome. So if a video, same title, same thumbnail, has 5,000 views, same look, same title. If it has 50 views, you're less likely to click on it. So there's all types of different sort of things they could do to suppress you. These are just one of those. And we have, the only way to combat that is just to reach out to our community and make sure you're sharing, make sure you are on our backup accounts, like you make sure you're following us on Rumble, make sure you're on our Substack, and I'll put that up right now. This is our Substack. Make sure you get on our Substack. This is our emergency. Our Substack is our emergency contact list. If they remove us, we have your emails where we can reach out to you and say, hey, this is our new YouTube channel. Hey, this is where you now can find us. So getting on our Substack is vital. It's not just for notifications of content. It is a vital tool. I'll leave that up for a little bit, and then I'll put up our website. But let me read this super chat here. Thank you for the super chat. Love the content and message. This stuff is out of hand. Israel has took over this nation. The said SecDef is supposedly in the hospital. That's the Secretary of the Defense because of his some sort of prostate cancer issue, which we don't know if that's the truth. They could just be using that as a sympathy tool for him. So just understand, the empire is willing to do whatever they'll do whatever they want. They have no shame. They'll do whatever they want. But let's shout out the website. Here is the website. The website URL is scrolling down at the bottom. This is our website, Revolutionary Blackout. One of our mottos: strategize nationally, organize locally. That's literally what we do. All of our members are in a different state, spread out across the United States. And so we strategize nationally. We come up with things we want to do nationally, but then we organize locally. He's doing it in his community. I'm doing it in my community. Nick's doing it in his community. So I believe it's a great strategy. If you want to become a member, you can also click on that on our website. And it talks about our story and some other things. You always get our latest clip here. You can check out our mission. And you can also get our contact information, like our emails. You can get here. But across the top, you see about us, the RBN chapters, the library. If you go to the library, we still need to get some more up-to-date pictures. But if you go to the library, you'll see from the beginning, look what it used to look like. That's just crazy. It don't look anything like that anymore. But you can go through some of the renovation pictures on here when you're on here, and check out just some of the different renovation that we've gone through at the RBN library. And Rome, you've been recently, like today and yesterday, those last several days, you've been working on in the library.
Yeah. I've been working on the bathrooms, working on the ceilings. I just did the floors. I did the ceilings day before yesterday. I still got to even out a couple of more things and do some crossbars for some framing, but it's coming together. I was raising money today since I was snowed in. My little Honda, poor little Honda, was snowed in. You don't know nothing about that.
I never, I was just about to say, I've never experienced. I don't even know what that means.
Man,
I don't even know what that means. So
yeah, I was just raising money to pay on this flooring because I had one of my boys look out for me, and he just magically came up with some flooring, but I still got to pay him like $1,500, even though it was like $3,000 worth of flooring. It was a deal I couldn't pass up on. I'm like, just put it in the building and I'll chop it off. So I've been paying off that, and I've been working on trying to get the bathrooms situated, because I had just got the water turned back on. So if I can get the water back on and I can get a toilet, sink, somewhere people wash their hands and whatever it may be, then I can just open up the damn building and just like I won't even care, as long as you can pee somewhere.
Yeah. So again, check out RBN's website, goals for our local chapters, building a community library, which we're doing, diaper and baby supply giveaways, school supply giveaways, disability community outreach, feeding the poor and unhoused, housing activism, bill payment assistance, self-defense classes, remote webinars, citizen journalists, tutoring, arts and cultural classes, youth basketball. So now these aren't at every chapter. These are all of the things that we want to offer at all of our chapters, and it's just listed one big list. So you can check all of this out, and then you can click on any of these. Like if you click on Rome's, Detroit is the chapter that he is the liaison for that he's over. Detroit chapter, you can see some pictures here. You can see what Rome does already. I don't know if you saw this yet, but we added these in here. This is unhoused people. You were cutting some hair, Rome, at the Detroit chapter right here.
Yep, I was at the homeless shelter, man. And I'm still mad about that day because I had dropped one of my liners, and I still ain't get it fixed.
Oh man, the liners. Yeah, you might as well get a new one, man. It's hard. And then mutual aid requests. Have you been getting any of these yet? Is it connected to you yet? It's connected. I don't know if this is live yet at all.
I got a couple of them. But it was mostly out of town people. But they looked out. They helped out. And shout out to Purple. He had reached out to an organization out here in Detroit that I have no idea about, and they want to send some volunteers out to help me out with the library and whatnot. So that was
what. Well, for this mutual aid forum, what do you want people to come to the Detroit chapter? So come to your chap if you're watching right now. You want to participate in Detroit, or you need some help. What sort of mutual aid requests are you fulfilling in Detroit at the Detroit?
Whatever
chapter?
you can do, as long as you don't get the fuck in my way, because I'm moving. I'm moving. So whatever you feel comfortable doing, we can go feed some people. We can go cut some hair. We can go work in our library. We can go in the garden. We can go wherever you feel comfortable. But you gotta. So
this forum is for people who want to volunteer.
Yeah.
Not people who need help. So this is if you want to volunteer to do whatever you offer, whatever your talent or skill is. But go ahead, Rome, if you wanted to.
That's what I was looking at it like. Because if you're gonna come out to Detroit, and you're gonna, cause I had a nice handful of comrades come out and help me out in person. Help me out with the ceiling, help me out with the ramp, the electricity. It was a lot of things. A lot of comrades came out and helped me. But if you can help me in any way, if you want to just help the people, you ain't got to help me. We can do whatever you want to do. I'm down for it all.
Right on.
Detroit,
all right.
We ain't got nothing but time and space.
Right on. So that's where so all of these things you can get done on our website, and right in the top right-hand corner, towards the top right-hand corner, you see where it says RBN merch. When you click on that, this will be the last thing I show before we shout out some links to donate. When you click on RBN merch, you can get 11 different designs. Now we're going to add more designs. Right now, we need to figure out how to get some more designs made, Rome. Right now, our editor is still going through her situation because it's a long-term situation with her husband. So right now we have 11 designs. More to come. We're probably going to double the amount of designs we have. We have a bunch of members out. Most of our members want to add some more ideas. So you can get the 11 designs on mugs. You can get them on tote bags, or you can get them on clothing, and the clothing would be like a t-shirt, a tank, a hoodie, a sweatshirt, or a long sleeve sweater. But I'll show the basic one. This is the one you'll see Nick rocking. Did I click on it? Yeah, and it's the basic logo, the RBN logo, the classic RBN logo tee. I'm sorry, pullover. You can get it in gray. You can get it wrong. I'm sorry. Nick has red. I keep saying I'm gonna get green, but that's not me. Like that's not me. I wouldn't walk around in that. That's just not my style. It's too loud.
That bitch gonna get there. I mean, them bitches do go hard with some nice with some nice kicks. That green go hard.
No, it would look good. Don't get me wrong. It would look good. It's just like I'm kind of incognito in public. Like during the pandemic, like I like the mask, not because I thought it worked. I like the mask because it kept me inconspicuous, to be quite honest with you. So I kind of liked wearing the mask for that reason. But I probably more likely would get just the classic gray. But I do like the black, and I'm not getting black because I heard you're gonna get it. And I want to be able to display all the colors one time when we all can wear it. And we can kind of be like, oh, you can get the black and you get the red. So I'm probably gonna get the gray. Rome will get the black. Nick has the red, and then we'll see what Sabby and JB get.
I'm buying
Maybe
all
they'll
them
get a green and white.
I don't know about y'all, cause I got shoes, nigga. I got a big ass shoe closet. I got a shoe for every for every color here. I'm buying all of them.
I hear you. I hear you. So do you I can pull up, do you have the links anywhere written that I can put up, like on your page anywhere, or is
nope, I'm
else
actually on my phone right now because I'm smoking. I don't want to be by my girl. You know, she just beat cancer not too long ago, so I'm still out here.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. All right, but you can shout them out, and people, it's easy to remember. So you shout out your links to if they wanted to donate, PayPal or whatever you got, Venmo.
Donate to my Cash App, Tour for the Poor, PayPal, Unholy Rome 6, and damn, what is my fucking Venmo? I don't know. Just go on my Twitter, Unholy Rome. The E is a 3, and you will see all the links. I just had posted a fundraiser today, so you will see it as soon as you go click on there. I'll probably have to scroll down just a bit, but as soon as the snow clear up, I'm gonna be back in the building. I more likely will be going live to show you guys, just how to work around certain things. I'm gonna be working on the ceiling, putting up drywall, and I might be putting another floor down because the floor is still uneven, and I have a weak spot that if you was watching my live, you would know that I have a weak spot in the first bathroom floor that I have to get rid of. So I thought I found the solution, but it's still there. So I'm coming up with a couple of plans with a couple of my friends now to get rid of that weak spot. And other than that, we're gonna be back working on getting the flooring for the kitchen and the bathroom. So I already have that in the building. I just can't use it right now because I haven't paid him enough money to actually touch them. So that's all.
I hear you. Word. All right. So we're going to end with the outro video here. Our website is scrolling at the bottom. One thing I forgot to just mention is not a website or anything, but to show, I should say, but join our Patreon. That is if you want to financially support us, this is the best way, the most stable way. It's monthly. You can go do as little as $3. This is the most solid way to support RBN and the work that we're trying to accomplish. Is our Substack. So I'll leave you with that, and then we'll be popped into the back. But I'll play this Jeffrey Sachs video to close this out, talking about the empire.
The United States stands completely isolated globally for supporting Israel in this massacre. And the consequences of that are being felt all over the world in shifting alliances, in economic patterns, in changing geopolitical structures, even in the use of the dollar as currency and many other things, there is a seismic change of geopolitics underway in which the U.S. has chosen nearly total isolation in the world. I see it every day because my job is to be out in the world discussing issues of economic development and finance, the global economy, trade, the currency system. And what's happening is the U.S., so contrary to being what Biden in his fantasy thinks that the world looks to the U.S. for leadership, the world looks at the U.S. aghast. The U.S. stands alone with Israel. Of course, the world's even more aghast at what Israel is doing because we haven't had the real-time video feed of mass slaughter quite this way before. Of course, we've had war in our living rooms, on our social media or television broadcasts, but the real-time slaughter, and as President Erdogan said, of hospitals and schools, I would add mosques, apartment buildings. This is an attempt stated by the Israelis, although we don't want to hear it, so we try not to hear the actual words that are used, but to make Gaza uninhabitable. And that's got a purpose that also needs to be understood. Israel is not fighting Hamas. Israel is fighting for a greater Israel, which is a kind of messianic biblical idea that now is in political ascendancy in Israel, that Israel has the right to control all of the area. It has the right to control the millions and millions of Palestinians because some zealots believe, and they are powerful right now. God said so in the book of Joshua, sometime around the 5th century BC. And you can't really make this up because this is 21st century stuff and it's devastating. And this is what we're siding with. I don't think Americans really understand what is motivating the Israelis. I don't think Americans understand the risk of this war widening very significantly, very dangerously, and very fast. This is what we're up against. And unfortunately, we have a president who's not effectively a president. I don't know what he is, but it's the worst foreign policy imaginable.